Let's go South Africa. Tanzania. Let's go Algeria. Welcome back to Switch Out South Africa. I'm Nicky Nash, as always, in proud collaboration with Change Cars. And today, you guys join me in a vehicle I've driven so many times. Well, it's other models. Today, I'm inside the Ford Ranger Platinum. This is the second to top. The top obviously being the Raptor. This is the one underneath the Raptor. And yeah, I'm gonna tell you everything you need to know about this vehicle, from the extra look at the vehicle, intro look at the vehicle, and whether you should get this vehicle for its asking price or just get a normal wall track. So this car looks like any other Ford Ranger you've seen on the channel, any other Ford Ranger you've seen on the roads. But there are some slight differences in terms of the exterior and interior, and I'm gonna tell you those exterior features and interior features. Starting with the exterior features, the main thing that you'll see is that this car is sitting on 20-inch alloy wheels, very nice alloy wheels as well. So it gives off this luxurious feel. So it reminds me so much of the Amarok Aventura. Well, the Aventura is based on this. So I like that aesthetic look that this car has. So that's the first difference you'll see over like a normal wall track. And then this has the lights as well. Those lovely lights. These are called LED matrix LED headlamps. So these ones are only found in the Raptor and in the Walltrack X currently. They do wonders. They are perfect in the evening. When you're driving and there's a car in front of you, it'll bright everything except for the car. So you can bright around the car. If you're turning, you can bright certain areas. So that's the nice thing that I like about this car. And they look good as well, these lights. So that's another difference in front. It gets a silver, well, chrome front grille, and then instead of where it's written Walltrack or Ranger on other models, this one is written platinum. Then on the side, platinum. In the interior, platinum. It's written platinum all over, in case if you do forget that you're driving a Ford Ranger Platinum. That's the difference, only difference on the exterior. When you jump into the interior, it looks the same. It's just that now you get this lovely, much bigger digital instrument cluster. It looks good. Like, you can do so much on this thing, and I like it. Like, it's a very nice digital instrument cluster. It looks good. You can change so much. There's even something called a calm screen, so it just shows you your fuel and your speed. That's it. Doesn't show you anything else, doesn't complicate anything else. So I like the screen. And then you get this, obviously, this Ford, you guys know it by now, this Ford design plasma TV over here, which is the touchscreen infotainment system, which supports Android Auto and Apple CarPlay wirelessly. I love that about the vehicle. Then the other difference in terms of the interior is that you get these lovely feeling seats. So these seats feel good. Quilted leather seats. They are heated and ventilated. You also get a heated steering wheel. So you're actually getting so much. Yeah. So this is the only Ranger that has heated and ventilated seats, excluding the Raptor. The Ranger Walltrack doesn't have heated seats and ventilated seats. So if you want these nice features, you opt for this one. And the Platinum that we in only comes in the V6 diesel that I'm currently driving. And V6 diesel are known, this specific one is known to be heavy on fuel. It's only heavy on fuel when you're driving in town. But once you get on the highway, but you know what? Before I tell you about how economical my trip to Venda with this vehicle was, let me tell you this V6 diesel what it is. This is a V6 diesel. It produces 184 kilowatts and 600 newton meters of torque. So I've had the Ranger Walltrack that we had on test last year, used the exact same engine, but because I don't necessarily travel with the vehicles all the time, or I don't necessarily go home with the vehicles all the time. If you're wondering where home is, I am Venda, so home is Limpopo, is Venda in Limpopo. So I don't necessarily always travel with the vehicle, so sometimes I don't get an opportunity to feel the vehicle on like a long distance drive. So I was fortunate enough to go back home with this vehicle, and this is where I got to understand how the V6 diesel works from Ford. So if you're driving locally, going robot to robot, going to work, going to the mall, all those type of things, you will feel it. It will burn a hole in your pocket. It doesn't like that. It does not like that, right? So when I drove like 419, you'll be seeing it on the overplay videos. I drove 419 kilometers to Venda. When I arrived there, I got with just under half a tank of fuel, and I was not driving 120 the whole way. That's what I can tell you. I'm not gonna say I was driving 200 because I was not, but I was not driving 120 the whole way. I was also not driving it economical. It was a normal mode. I was just driving the vehicle. I averaged 11.5, right? So I was actually quite impressed, because I've driven two Venda with the previous gen Ford Everest, the 2-liter bi-turbo, and the exact same way that I drove this vehicle, I'll drive that Everest Limited. And literally, when you get to Venda with the previous engine, I'll be done. Like fuel, I'll need to maybe drive another 50 or 100 k's, and then I'm pouring fuel. That's with regards to the previous gen 2-liter 4-cylinder, right? This V6 diesel, it's much more fuel efficient than that. So this car has an eco mode. So I'm like, you know what? Let me drive eco mode coming back home to Pretoria. So I did the exact same thing, put it in eco, drove back. And in these cars, sometimes you feel like the eco mode is not, you don't really need it, or it doesn't really work. Well, here's what happened. I drove it in eco mode the whole way, driving the exact same speed and all those type of things, just that this time I'm in a different mode, and just over 400 k's as well. I averaged 11.5, so I averaged less. And then when I got to Pretoria, when I got home, it was literally on half a tank. So it took me I did 409 and I used half a tank. So I could have carried on and did 800 k's on this V6 diesel. It's not easy to say you can do 800 k's in a V6 diesel, more especially a V6 diesel that when you're driving locally, it uses so much fuel. So I give props to Ford, because I know definitely if you drive this car at 110, 120 there the whole way, you will get beautiful numbers in terms of fuel efficiency. Unfortunately, yeah, that's not my specialty. I unfortunately can't drive 110 the whole way to Brenda, unfortunately. But that's why I'm preaching this, is that you guys can understand how this V6 diesel works. So if you want a platinum, it only comes in a V6 diesel. You can't opt for the 2-liter in the platinum. The platinum only comes in the V6 diesel. If you want the 2-liter, you're gonna have to go for a Wildtrak or a Wildtrak X. Now, speaking about those cars, this is where it comes into play. Do you really need a Ford Ranger Platinum? Personally, I wouldn't say you need it. Someone that's buying the the Ranger Platinum is someone that likes the look of the Platinum and just wants the Platinum. And I wouldn't blame you if you bought a Platinum, because it's a very good car. So the prices of this specific vehicle starts at just above 1.9 million rand. The only optional extra you can add on this vehicle is the power roller shutter. That's not a standard, and I wish that was a standard. And if you add that, it costs 25,000 rand. And if you add that, your car is basically full spec. And the price of this vehicle is 1,145,300. And if you take that amount of money, you finance it through the Change Cars vehicle finance calculator over a period of 5 years, which is 60 months, at an interest rate of 12.25%, you are looking at paying 25,600 for this vehicle. Right? That's before fuel.